Hello, I'm Rabbi Garfinkel, and I welcome you to the Ask My Rabbi show, the interactive video blog that gives you the opportunity to ask me anonymous questions about Judaism and to get life advice from a Jewish perspective. The questions are rolling in, and the Facebook group as of today is up to 106 members, so please keep up the good work. Today, I'm going to answer a slightly offbeat question that comes from Jason in Washington, D.C. He asks, Dear Rabbi Garfinkel, are those Gara Rufa doctor fish that are being used in pedicures kosher fish? I wasn't planning on eating one, I'm just wondering. That's a great question, Jason. In order to answer it, we first have to review what the Torah's requirements are for kosher fish. According to the Torah, a fish must have fins and scales in order to be kosher. The Hebrew terms are snapir, which means fins, and kaskeset, which means scales. Now it just so happens that there is no such thing as a fish that has scales but does not have fins, so essentially the only requirement is that the fish have scales. So why doesn't the Torah simply say that kosher fish need to have scales? Why say that they need fins at all? The Gemara says that the reason is that if the Torah had only required scales, we might have gotten confused and wrongly thought that the fins were the scales. Now it's important to note that kaskeset does not refer to all scales. There are four kinds of scales: ctenoid, or comb-like, cycloid, or circle-like, ganoid, which resemble shiny bone or enamel, and placoid, which resemble teeth. According to the website kosherquest.org, only fish bearing ctenoid and cycloid scales qualify as kosher. These fish have true scales. According to the 13th century scholar Nachmanides, also known as the Ramban, kosher scales are the ones that can be easily removed with the finger or a knife without ripping away the underlying skin. The other two kinds of scales, ganoid and placoid, are bony and cartilaginous scales that do not flake off easily. Therefore, Jewish law does not consider fish that bear such scales to be kosher because their scales are not kaskeset. This is important because you will sometimes hear people claim that unkosher fish don't have scales, when in fact the issue is that they don't have the right kind of scales. Unkosher fish include sharks, rays, eels, catfish, and sturgeon. Obviously, any sea life that does not have scales at all would also be unkosher. That would include all crustaceans and all aquatic mammals such as whales and dolphins. And if you eat dolphin, you're a monster. How could you eat such a beautiful animal? Easy there, buddy. Go for a swim with Michael Phelps or something. So, Jason, let's go back to your question about the Gara Rufa fish, also known as a doctor fish, a surgeon fish, a nibble fish, a kangle fish, or a reddish log sucker. Because of all these nicknames, it would be necessary to actually examine a specimen in order to declare it kosher or unkosher. It is risky to rely on the customary name of a fish. What one restaurant or shop calls Chilean sea bass may, for instance, actually be an unkosher Vietnamese catfish. The only way we can truly be sure that we are talking about a kosher fish is to actually examine it to make sure that it has kosher scales. Even if you know the scientific name of the fish, that may not help. In the case of the doctor fish, Wikipedia refers to it as a member of the Cyprinidae family, in the carp family, while the Orthodox Union's list of kosher fish refers to it as a member of Acanthuridae. In either case, the Gara Rufa appears to be a kosher fish, but I couldn't say for certain without examining it or asking an expert in kosher fish. As Jason notes, it doesn't matter whether the Gara Rufa fish is kosher if one intends to use it to get a pedicure. The Jewish dietary laws only come into play if one intends to eat the animal in question. Is eating a fish that nibbled at people's feet creepy and weird? Yes. Is that fish unkosher? Probably not. And that's the end of this episode of the Ask My Rabbi show. I'm Rabbi Eli Garfinkel of Temple Beth El in Somerset, New Jersey. Shabbat Shalom.